Sunday lunches have always been my favourite. This week, I had a few friends and family coming over, so I wanted to go all out. Comfort food, but with a few twists. I actually started the night before because the dessert needed time to rest. I wanted something that felt a little bit special, but still rustic, so I went for a burnt Basque lemon cheesecake, but with a ginger nut base. The base is super simple, crushed ginger nuts mixed with melted butter, pressed tight into a tin. The ginger gives that real warmth that works well with the lemon. Then for the filling, cream cheese, sugar, eggs, a good squeeze of lemon juice and the zest, a splash of vanilla, and a little cream to loosen it all up together. It got whisked until smooth, then poured over the base and baked at high temperature at the top is dark and blistered. Once it's out of the oven, I just leave it to cool slowly overnight, no fridge and no rush. It just sets by itself. The next morning I got started early because there's always more to do than you think. First up, I wanted something seasonal. It's autumn, pumpkins are everywhere, and I've been craving mac and cheese for weeks, so I thought why not make a spiced pumpkin version. I roasted chunks of pumpkin coated in a little bit of chili just to balance out the sweetness and give them that warmth. They go into the oven for about 30 minutes until soft and caramelized around the edges. That roasted pumpkin flavour gives the mac and cheese a bit of depth, something savoury to cut through all the richness. While that's ticking away, I check on the pasta, cooked until just al dente, then drained and set it aside, ready to soak up all that sauce later. In a pan, I made a roux with butter and flour and slowly whisking milk to make a bechamel. A bit of nutmeg, smoked paprika and cayenne go in, just enough to bring a bit of warmth without overpowering it. Then comes the cheese, red Leicester for colour, cheddar for sharpness and mozzarella for that stretch. Once everything's melted, I stir in the pumpkin puree. The sauce turned that deep golden orange and smells absolutely incredible. I pour it all over the cooked pasta, give it a good mix and every piece is coated, then top it with more cheese and layer on panko breadcrumbs. I'll bake it later, but for now it's ready to go, sitting there waiting for its moment. Next up is the bread. I always like to have something homemade on the table, so I went for my same day focaccia. In a big bowl, I mix flour, yeast, water, salt, and a good glug of olive oil. It's a very wet dough, messy and sticky, but that's what gives it its light, airy texture. Every half hour or so, I come back and stretch and fold it, just lifting the edges and folding it over itself. Cherry tomatoes and rosemary go on top, and a sprinkle of flaky salt. The smell when it comes out of the oven, that mixture of olive oil, herbs, and warm bread. Then it's onto the potatoes, the most important part of any roast, if you ask me. I peel them, chop them into even chunks, and drop them into salted boiling water. They only need a few minutes, just until the edges start to soften. Then I drain them and let them steam dry completely. That's the trick. You want them bone dry before it hits any oil. In a roasting tray, I've got oil heating until it's shimmering. Halfway through, I give them a shake, and by the end, they're perfectly crisp on the outside and fluffy inside. Now the main event, the roast beef. I start by seasoning it heavily with salt every side, every edge. I then sear it in a hot pan until it's browned all over. The caramelization makes all the difference. Once it's seared, I brush the whole thing with Dijon mustard, just a thin coat to give it a bit of tang and help the crust develop. In the same pan, I add 4 chopped onions and a couple sticks of celery. The beef goes back on top and the whole thing goes in the oven. It roasts until the internal temperature hits about 45 degrees and then I pull it out to rest. As it rests, it climbs about 57 degrees, perfectly pink, tender and juicy all the way through. Now back to the beef pan. I've been sent some Guinness gravy, so I added that in, deep, rich and malty, along with a good layer of beef stock. Finally, it's time to plate. Slices of that perfectly pink beef, a big spoonful of pumpkin mac and cheese, bubbling and golden on top, then the roast potatoes, crisp and crackling, a handful of broccoli on the side, and that generous pour of that dark, rich gravy all over everything. By the time I brought it all out, the table went quiet. That's always a good sign. Plates were cleared, a few roast potatoes stolen off each other's plates. Now it's time for dessert. The cheesecake's ready, golden, brown, cracking just enough on top. When you slice into it, the centre is soft and creamy, almost like custard. I serve it with raspberry coulis and a few fresh raspberries. Tart.